What is up, YouTube guys? Jericho426 coming at you with another Marvel Contest of Champions video. And today, guys, I want to share with you my thoughts, my emotions maybe, on this whole Kabam rebalancing issue, system, whatever you want to call it. Now, I know that I'm jumping on this bandwagon a little bit late. I think the news of this came out last week, and most people have shared their thoughts on this, and maybe you're like, Jericho, we don't want to hear your thoughts. Whatever, you're going to hear my thoughts if you're watching this video. But I think I do mirror the thoughts of many in the community, at least the ones that I have talked to or the ones that I have watched on YouTube as well. So I want to come at this from two different sides. And the first being that the rebalancing in itself is... I understand why a game needs balanced. Again, you don't want something so OP broken that it makes the game way too easy and unfun. Now, Kabam would say you don't want something way too OP broken so that they don't lose money on getting your units whenever you die. So let's not pretend that this is a pro player move and they've been like, oh my god, people are so upset because Kitty Pryde was so OP, we need to dull her down for the community. No. They want to make sure that things aren't too beneficial in order to make sure they're making more money. Now, I get the money standpoint. They need to make money. If they don't make money, they don't survive. We're going to come back to that point here in a little bit. But let's not pretend, first of all, that they are coming at this from a pro player standpoint. They are absolutely doing this from a pro revenue standpoint. Because the better a champion is, and the easier they make content, the less money they're going to make on, for the most part, revives, right? But the bigger issue I see with this, as far as a gameplay standpoint, is that the new champion system, in my opinion, is currently completely messed up. You have, this opportunity, like today we just saw Misty Knight and who's Captain America, Falcon, the new Captain America, Sam Wilson, Captain America, are going to be coming to the game in February. If you didn't know that, now you do. So these are your new champions coming out, right? And whenever they first begin to release, you're going to have a very tiny chance to gain them, to gain access to them. Which means that you're going to have to buy an early access bundle. They are $50 a piece. And that's going to give you 10 chances to get one of these champions. Now, you could say, oh, well, there's the Grandmaster Crystals. No, 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 no. We all know that Grandmaster Crystals are pretty much a guaranteed 3-star. And to be quite honest, for the people who are going to buy these deals, nobody's going to get use out of a 3-star. Again, they might be able to practice with them until later on when they gain a 5 or a 6-star. No one's going to gain really any benefit out of having a 3-star version of a new champion. And nobody wants a 3-star version of a new champion. Again, is it better than a 5 or 6-star? Maybe. Debatable. So, you have this very tiny chance to get the champion. So you spend $100, right? To try to get a 5 or 6-star version of the brand new champion. And then, whenever they hit the arena, you have another opportunity to get them in a crystal. And then you will have another opportunity. So you have 3 rounds of chances, let's say, to gain access to a new champion. But we know that RNG sometimes be a bitch and doesn't work out in anybody's favor. And so, but let's say, for the sake of the argument, that you do get the champion, right? And you're like, oh my god, I've seen all the videos on it. I've seen Jericho's guides. He's loving it, right? And we get this champion, and we're like, I'm going to take him all the way up. I'm going to go ahead and use this 6-star Awakening Gem on him. I'm going to go ahead and rank him up Sig 200 because that's what I'm told I'm supposed to be doing. And then 6 months down later, Kabam says, you know what? We've been watching everybody play with him. And supposedly we've heard what the community is saying, and we just think they're way too OP. So we're gonna drop their abilities down, their damage down. It's usually gonna be a damage thing, I guarantee you guys. We're gonna drop their damage down just a little bit, right? And so, even though you just spent all this money, all this time, you got hyped over getting the champion. Now your champion's not going to be worth nearly as much. And let's say you're looking at a tier list, maybe, right? Maybe they drop the champion down from a god tier to, if you're looking at my list, maybe an exceptionally good, right? So you go down from god tier to exceptionally good. Was that worth you spending all that money and all the resources on that champion to rank them up? Now, a lot of the community has said the same thing that I'm saying right now, which is, Why would I invest money or time or resources are so precious, right, into a champion with the risk, especially if you know they are so really good? I mean, right now, if a really good champion is released, are we going to automatically think that they're going to be nerfed? And you're like, well, no, I'm not excited about it. Why would you waste all the resources into that, personal or in-game, to then risk it being nerfed later on, right? Are we now supposed to put all our resources into really crappy champions that come out because we hope or know that they're going to boost them up, right, to some level? You know, it's going to really change how I play the game, okay? Now, I've already kind of stated in a couple of the videos, maybe you guys have watched, that I'm not going to be wailing out this year like I did last year, for several different reasons. But, you know, I spent a lot of money on mostly making content last year, trying to get champions so that we could have some fun crystal openings on the channel. But now the issue is, I kind of want to get back into just playing the game just to play it, and so I'm not going to spend as much money, and I'm not going to be buying early access bundles. Well, I can guarantee you this: if there is a chance that a brand new champion is going to be nerfed in any way, then I am not going to invest any money in that. Why would I want to grab a champion and then 6 months down the line they be rendered maybe much less useful? We don't know what rebalancing looks like yet, and I know that could be somebody's argument. Well, you don't know, it might just be a little bit. Okay, sure, but what if it's not? What if it is a significant amount of redoing the champion, right? And then what's going to happen is, before, when they've nerfed in a champion sometimes, like with the Odin situation, or even with Hood, there was a little bit of compensation for that. Now, they've already positioned themselves. There will be no compensation for this kind of stuff. We're already warning you guys, this champion could be nerfed. So, the fact that the new champion, and I kind of got off this because I went into this about the rebalancing, the fact that it's already a broken system to where, let's say you have a new champion come out, and your RNG luck in the beginning is terrible, now you have to wait months before this champion might hit a featured crystal, and then more months before they hit the basic crystals, right? So new champions are kind of just like whatever. I mean, in a lot of cases, because unless you're grinding your butt off in the arena, a lot of people, especially free-to-play, are never going to get a chance for 3 to 6 months to even get their hands on a champion. That's probably a rant for another time, but that's already an issue. And now you're expecting me to go ahead and spend resources, spend my money, or my units in game, which obviously is money, in order to try to grab a champion that you're later on going to change, and probably for the worse. I mean, we're saying, oh, it's rebalancing. You haven't brought up Cyclops yet, guys. You haven't brought up someone like Annihilus, which, again, arguably with the synergies, you could say, well, now he's brought up. But they're not bringing up every horrible champion. Groot's still at the bottom of the pile. You haven't brought him up. So why should I believe that you're going to suddenly start really focusing on the really bad champions that you bring into the game, and not just really focusing on the really good ones that are so OP that they're costing you to lose money? Now, that's half of that rant, and I know originally I was going to go at this from a very kind of middle of the ground, and then the more I thought about it, I got a little upset. But the other side of this, guys, and kind of, you know, maybe what brought you to the video, if it wasn't the harsh thumbnail, is this move shows exactly how much Kabam does not understand their game, right? And you could view this from so many different standpoints, but the fact of the matter is, if you took Contest of Champions as just a game, would it have survived 7 years? Absolutely not. You know why? Because there are bugs, there's compensation issues, there's all kinds of issues with this game, and even difficulty issues. I mean, some of this, Act 6 is ridiculous, right? There are difficulty issues. There are all kinds of issues with this game. A game by itself would not have lasted this long with these things in it. You know why it lasted this long? Because you are watching this video right now. Because there is a community built up around this game. A very tight community that they can agree to disagree, they can disagree, they can agree, they can do all these things. They release content, all kinds of content, crazy stuff. We have guys that make videos of champions that haven't even been released. It might never be released, but they make videos of what their special animations could look like. That's how deep this community goes, right? And the mere supposition by Kabam that we need them to hold our hand with a rating system is, I think, kind of dumb, because you're not dependent at that point. It's similar to what they did with the deep dives. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think the deep dives are necessarily a bad thing, but again, it took Kabam taking something away in a sense from the community, right? There are tons of creators that release guides, how-tos, damage rotations, all this kind of stuff, and have been for a long time, early access gameplay, things like this. And then Kabam says, we're just going to go ahead and make a tutorial guide for these guys because they don't get how to play champions. Well, that's okay, because the community will teach each other. We're here to help each other. You know, when you look at other videos, if you look at like MSD talking, a lot of times, at least from champions like Professor X, he got a lot of his info in talking with Bearman, right? I mean, these guys help each other, and then they share it to the community. It shows that Kabam doesn't understand how vital and integral the community is to their game. You know, so many times we see on the forums where people will complain, they'll cite bugs, they'll cite issues, and a lot of times Kabam's getting better. They'll come in and they'll say, yeah, we understand, we're working on it. And other times they're kind of like, screw you guys, this is our game. It is not Kabam's game. And I know people are like, oh, they make it. Yeah, they are the developers. But if nobody but the developers played the game, they would shut their doors in a day. Kabam, this is not your game. This is the players' game. You need to adamantly listen to the players. And when they say, we are very concerned about a rebalancing situation and that the overall reaction to it is not good, it's not you say, yeah, we hear you, we're going to go ahead and do it. You should really step back and look at it and say, why are we doing this? Because you're doing this from a revenue standpoint. But I guarantee you, if you really start to affect the way the game is played for people, people are going to stop spending. People are going to start leaving the game, as they already have. I don't know if they have somebody at Kabam that just sits there and watches content all day of the stuff that's created for the game, but they really need somebody like that. I know that Kabam Broccoli had said in his review, you know, he watches stuff, other people watch stuff, but how many of it really take it to heart and really take it to the heads of Kabam and say, hey, this is the way people feel. We need to pay attention to this because people aren't liking this stuff, right? Kabam really needs to understand that their game is not what is so great in making this game last. It is the community around it. The communities around games, the fellowship that people gain, the camaraderie that people gain, and just watching a video of a game that you play makes you feel like you're part of a community. Even if you don't interact, you watching that makes you feel like you are part of a community. And Kabam is really off the mark with this. They think that we need to have our hands held with a rating system. There have been tier lists and rating systems forever by people on YouTube, on the community. Why suddenly do we need 7 years later a hand holding and say, well, this is how we're going to rate the champion, right? And no matter what you guys think, this is how we're going to rate it. And you know what? Because we don't like this rating, we're going to go ahead and we're going to nerf the heck out of them. Guys, originally when I saw the rebalancing system, I said, hey, let's give it a chance. But the more and more I thought about it, as you can tell, I'm a little PO'd about it because Prof Hoff, if you watch him at all, a lot of times he speaks about Kabam being tone deaf. And I don't think this is tone deaf. I think this is blatant disregard for the people who play it, for the people who generate their revenue. So, again, in the end, guys, we're going to have to wait and see. I think the only reason if the rebalancing goes well, in a sense, is going to be because of community being outspoken about it. But again, this is going to completely change how I make content and play the game, just because I'm not going to risk spending money on a champion or wasting resources on a new champion that I would be excited over to just have him nerfed later on. So, I mean, all in all, I guess the last thing to say on this is just it doesn't make me excited for new champions anymore. And it's really unfortunate because I want to see a really good champion come out and be like, yay, I really want to play them. I really want to get that champion. I want to chase that champion like with Shang-Chi. And now it's just going to be, well, there's a new one. I guess I'll see in 6 months whether I want to try to go for it in the basic crystal. So, anyway, guys, all that being said, and enough of my ranting, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Monday. And as always, I will catch you on the flip side.